Jim Harbaugh is expected to sign with the Minnesota Vikings per Chris Ballas, and according to other and more reliable sources earlier today, the Vikings are flying him out Wednesday, which is on National Signing Day. Yikes, to be interviewed once again for the head coach position. As a Michigan fan, I have a lot to say. So today is going to be a day where I'm not necessarily taking a neutral side viewpoint or an analyst viewpoint. Today is going to be a day where I am going to bring out fully the Michigan fan and talk about this from a Michigan perspective, because this to me is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. But regardless, today it's just going to be all talking about this entire situation, this roller coaster, the burning house, whatever analogy you want to use, that is the Michigan football program right now. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And toward the end of this video, I'm also going to be discussing possible coaching replacements, 2 replacements that I think would be suitable, and then we'll name a few others as well that are mentioned as likely candidates too. So it's going to be all Michigan football today. Once again, I'm stunned. I never anticipated making this video. I never even anticipated I don't know. This whole thing has me puzzled, but whatever. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into the nitty-gritty and talk about Jim Harbaugh, what I want to do is take a special moment to thank my subscribers for getting me to 3,000 subs. If you want to just skip over this part, even though it includes directions on how to enter my giveaway, you can skip ahead to the next timestamp, which is just all talking about this. But I want to spend a special minute or two just thanking you all for helping me to get to 3,000 subscribers. And my giveaway entry, it's pretty simple. The prize is a $100 StubHub gift card. And how you enter is simply commenting in this video. It's just that simple. Comment down below. Just absolutely anything. Just one comment. And thanks to a special app that I have installed, I can just randomly pick a comment and a commenter to win. So the winner will get a $100 StubHub gift card. I'm not sponsored by StubHub by any means. I'm buying the gift card with my own money and giving it to whichever one of you is lucky enough to win it. Again, just comment down below whether it's your thoughts, whether it's just you saying hi, whether it's you making a joke. I don't care. Commenting down below is an automatic entry into my giveaway. Again, I'm not associated with StubHub. This is my own money giving back to my community, because without you, this would not be possible. We would not be at 3,000 subs. Onward to 10,000 subs. Information, if you want it to just see it in words typed out, is in the description, so you can look there, or the comment section. I'll probably have it pinned as well. But that's all I have to say regarding my giveaway. Comment down so you can have your entry. And now let's get right back into it. So I want to discuss some of my thoughts on this situation in general. I have 4 main ones here, and we're just going to start out with it. Harbaugh obviously is interested, and I'm only mentioning this because there are still some Michigan fans, some people who, whether you like to admit it or not, are delusional and believe that this is all made up and it's all leverage. And, well, that just isn't the case anymore. This is legitimate interest. Harbaugh clearly, in my opinion, wants to make an NFL return, and for whatever reason, maybe he loves Michigan, but maybe there's a part of him where he just doesn't want to coach at Michigan anymore. Maybe he doesn't like how recruiting and now the transfer portal and NIL is a kind of whole year grind to it, and maybe he likes the concept of you can go to the NFL where you just develop and manage rather than constantly having to recruit guys. Because in college, you kind of have to be a general manager to a certain degree, especially at a high-level program, along with being a head coach. And granted, Jim Harbaugh, wherever he goes, that kind of seems to be a trend where he would want to be the general manager as well, but he doesn't have to recruit by any means. There's no really complicated NIL deals. There is the transfer portal in the free agency, but you can have, it's just college football's changing. Maybe he doesn't want to experience that change. The NFL is more set in stone right now than college is. He's also been to the NFL before. He's had success there, taking San Francisco to a Super Bowl and 3 straight NFC championship games, I believe, from just my memory. So he's obviously interested. You cannot deny that he is. There is no evidence that this is all a ploy. And some people are saying this, believe it or not, which I, as a Michigan fan, think is lunacy. And if he wants to go to the NFL, go ahead. I mean, I hate that he had to do it on National Signing Day, which will hurt our recruiting, and I don't like how long this process has been dragged on. But go to the NFL. Go, honestly. Like, no one's obviously stopping you. The administration also, this ties into point number 2, the university hasn't laid limitations to him. Ward hasn't stepped up and said, hey, you're dragging this on too long, you're making us all look like fools, either go or stay. And if you don't make up your mind by whatever, we're going to have to, kick you out. Because imagine, think of it this way. Imagine Ohio State. Think of it. Ohio State letting Ryan Day twiddle his thumbs in his seat 8 hours a day, thinking and discussing with other NFL teams about joining them. No, absolutely not. Gene Smith and Ohio State would never allow such a thing to happen. What about up the road at Michigan State? Now, granted, Michigan State's not the same size, they don't have the same power or the same passion that an Ohio State does, but they're certainly taking steps to go there. They just paid their head coach nearly $10 million a year. They seem to have hired a guy who can at least get them consistent top 25 finishes. Do you think that they would let Mel Tucker twiddle his thumbs for a month? They'd probably lean toward no. But Michigan, for whatever reason, despite being, all things considered, whether you like it or not, Michigan is a blue blood, to be honest. Michigan is the only blue blood who is letting something like this happen, or who would even permit something like this to happen. It's embarrassing. It's downright embarrassing. The fact that we have let Harbaugh, that Michigan as a university, has let Harbaugh drag this process out for so long is wrong. He has to make up his mind, because the longer this is going on, originally I thought the longer this was going on that it was just rumors and he was using this to put together a contract. But what it sounds like is Michigan got him a contract. Unfortunately, once again, they didn't give him, a lot of resources, a lot of money. They're paying him less than Mel Tucker was the rumored contract, which probably means less resources and less power than Mel Tucker, which is not good either for Michigan. And yeah, the story just kind of writes itself. There was a contract waiting and burning on Harbaugh's desk, and he's not accepting it. It's likely more than not that he is going to the NFL, whether it's the Vikings, whether it's Miami, whether it's wherever. It totally 100% looks like the Vikings right now. 3, the situation will damage recruiting. Now, I've already touched on this, but Michigan has one more prospect. They have a few more, but specifically one, in Josh Cornerly Jr., who is a 5-star offensive lineman, and it would be really nice if our offensive line could get a boost in having him as a commit. If Harbaugh leaves, and the fact that he is not going to be at Michigan for National Signing Day and the staff is on a vacation, a week vacation is what I heard, Connerly is probably gone and not going to commit here. Others might decommit as well. I mean, think of what happened at Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. Think of that. Think of that. Just pause, close your eyes. The chaos, the anger, everything that engulfed Oklahoma for about a month, players being poached. This could happen depending on what segments of the staff leave or don't leave, because it's also rumored by Ballas as well in his article. I'll link it down below, but there are members of the staff that are expected to join Jim Harbaugh. I'm thinking of specifically Matt Weiss, the quarterback's coach, guys with NFL experience. But still, this situation, this experience, even if he returns to Michigan, damages recruiting. Because as a recruit, you're thinking, well, he's legitimately interested. No NFL team wanted him, but this means I'm going to have to deal with the prospect of him leaving. There's less of a sense of stability even if he returns to Michigan. And if he leaves, he's left really late. He left on National Signing Day. So there will probably be some decommits, and prospects that we were targeting are going to, we're not going to be on their radar anymore. So this will absolutely damage recruiting no matter where it goes. It's just my opinion, but I think there is a lot of evidence, especially when it comes to situations that we've experienced this year, that back that up. Now, what I will say is Notre Dame, they immediately hired from internal. It kept their recruiting class alive. We'll talk about this a little later. Michigan could do something like that, but it was almost miraculous how kept together Notre Dame was after that hire. That was awe-inspiring to a certain degree. And finally, for Harbaugh, it is Vikings or bust. He returns here, he might go at it. He might go at it hard. But I'm getting a sense that he just wants to go, that he might not want to coach here. Because my thought is this: Michigan, sure, it has apathy to it. It's not like Ohio State or Alabama, but you played here. You're an alum here. Why would you want to leave? And maybe, yeah, the NFL is a step up. We can debate this, and I'd arguably agree that the NFL is in itself a step up from college. Not every college coach can handle it because of the different responsibilities and all that, all that jazz. I'm not necessarily an NFL guy, but still, to me it seems he goes there, and that might be the best option for Michigan, because if he comes back, there's going to be a lot of awkwardness. There might be some anger from certain parts of the fan base or within, which will not help the long-term success of the program. These are just some of my thoughts. I mean, there are obviously more, but I only find it appropriate to talk about a few because it's kind of all it's worth. There's no point in rambling on for 60 minutes just passionately as a fan. This is me mixing in my passion, my Michigan fan-ness, and also trying to keep you guys informed. It's just, yeah. So, honestly, at this point, as a Michigan fan, there was a commenter, and I forget I think he's an Ohio State fan, but he was telling me in the comments that me not caring that Harbaugh left is a sign that I don't strive for greatness. And I say, in light of the situation, that no, him leaving is quite possibly the only way we reach greatness now. What kind of, I don't even know, what kind of coach does this? Honestly, Brian Kelly, a guy who won at Notre Dame with no schedule, did this. Lincoln Riley, a guy who, hasn't won a playoff game, did this too. I don't know at this point. This almost infuriates me because I don't like seeing my university, after a year of success with all momentum at its back, now being crushed over the head with a baseball bat. But that's just how I see it. If you're an Ohio State fan or Michigan State fan, and if I was a member of your fan base too, I would be dying of laughter. This is a clown show. Michigan just showed that they could, for maybe every other year or whatever, contend and rule the Big Ten. And this opportunity seems to be fleeting away as we speak as a result of these Jim Harbaugh rumors and job speculations. That's just my thoughts, and I think now it's time to move on and talk about some potential replacements. I'm also going to be reading a 24/7 Sports article in a little bit that talks about some potential replacements if Jim Harbaugh decides to leave, which of course it looks like he indeed will. So let's get into that. My ideal choices. Now, you look at Luke Fickell, and you're at this point in your head saying that A, Luke Fickell is an Ohio State guy. There's no way he's going to want the job. Or B, it's not even that. He just wants to stay at Cincinnati because he sees what he can build. Or C, because of the previous two reasons that I'm an idiot. But the reason I want Luke Fickell is because he's done so much. He even, he held Alabama in that offense. He battled with them. This was not like a typical blowout where Alabama just runs over a team. Luke Fickell competed well with Alabama. Mind you, an Alabama team that was getting hotter and hotter each game it played. This definitely was a top 10 team that Fickell just commanded. It was the same thing last year when they nearly beat Georgia in their New Year's Six Bowl. He's had just tremendous success at Cincinnati. And remember a guy named Bo Schembechler, who came from Ohio, who was an assistant at Ohio State? You remember that guy? And do you remember what happened when we brought him up here? Success. Luke Fickell, just who he is, the people he's worked under, and the defenses that he's created, the program in Cincinnati that he built up, why not? At least give him a call. What's it going to hurt by giving him a call and at least seeing if he's somewhat interested? It's not going to hurt anything. There's no point in not calling him. He's not old. He's from Ohio. He knows the Midwest, which will be good for local recruiting and Ohio recruiting. Michigan's always successful when they can recruit the state of Ohio well, which has been lacking in, the past few years, really, ever since Ohio State has been consistently dominating us and ever since Lloyd Carr left. But I'm just thinking, why not? I love Luke Fickell. He's obviously a great coach, obviously a top 10 coach. There's a reason Michigan State wanted him after Mark D'Antonio retired. And seeing how he brought his team to a playoff and seeing how he beat some good teams in the American and competed with powerful SEC schools in the postseason, there's just no point in at least not calling him. Josh Gattis is another ideal candidate, and I'm only saying this is kind of my short-term ideal candidate. Gattis, he's an offensive mind. He worked under two previous teams that had successful offenses. James Franklin's Penn State as their passing game coordinator, and in his last 2 years there in 16 and 17, those were really efficient Penn State offenses and Penn State passing games. And he also worked at Alabama in 2018 and helped develop a plethora of elite wide receivers and oversee, not call though, as Mike Locksley was the offensive coordinator. He helped observe, oversee, and just witness an amazing Alabama offense, along with, of course, taking part in it as he was on the staff. But what he did this year has rejuvenated my faith in him, because just watching this year's offense and how we all know that Harbaugh is always involved, always, let's be honest here, a control freak, it makes me wonder what will happen if he has free reign opening up the offense. And maybe I'm being a little insane here, but I think you put him at an interim basis. It's a guy that all the football players know for a year, see how he does. Maybe he can open up the offense, and maybe if he can keep the remaining staff around him, or the majority of the staff around him, then maybe he can work out. I don't know. But I'm thinking more short term with him, because once again, he doesn't have a lot of coaching experience. It is always a gamble hiring a guy with little to no coaching experience. It worked out with Ohio State and Ryan Day, and I'm thinking that hiring Gattis, there's always a slim chance it could work out, as both were offensive minds and both had success, but I'm doubtful. Ohio State getting Ryan Day an elite coach in Ryan Day is just so like one in a few thousand, 1 in a million chance. And it happened, and they did their research, and I just I don't know if Gaddis can be that. But these two, I think that giving Fickell a call, I would love it if he somehow was Michigan's head coach. Again, these are ideal choices. Fickell being the ideal one that has at least a pinch of realism to it, because we all know Saban, Dabo Swinney, and everyone else, that's no way. And Josh Gaddis being my ideal, more short-term solution. Just put him in an interim basis, see what he does, maybe keep some of the staff around him, bump up their raises, maybe his youth will help open up the offense and open up Michigan when it comes to NIL and other things. I don't know, but it's just a little bit of a thought there. And finally, we'll discuss some other choices and read the article by 24/7 Sports that discusses coaching candidates if Jim Harbaugh leaves for the Vikings. The title of this article by Brad Crawford is Michigan Football Coaching Candidates if Jim Harbaugh leaves for Vikings, per CBS Sports. It's so ingrained in my mind that he is heading to the Vikings, even though they just hired the Patriots offensive coordinator because it was reported for so long. So pardon me on that. Michigan football could find itself in an unexpected coaching search after National Signing Day. This week, if the Minnesota Vikings select Jim Harbaugh as their next head coach, after a formal interview is scheduled for Wednesday. CBS Sports' Dennis Dodd looked at possible candidates at Michigan this week if the Wolverines are forced to replace Harbaugh in the near future. So let's look at some of these candidates, some of which have already been discussed by me, notably Josh Gaddis. Dodd says if Michigan is going to keep challenging Ohio State, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if Gaddis' offensive mind is leading the program. And I did mention this earlier, kind of correlating his hire to what Ohio State did when they hired Ryan Day. 24/7 Sports take is Gaddis won the Broyles Award last season, given to the nation's top assistant following a banner year on offense. Under Gaddis' guidance, the Wolverines ranked 19th nationally in yards per game with 451.9, 21st nationally in yards per play, 6.46, and 13th nationally in points per game, the statistic that matters most, in 13 and with 37.7. Michigan, respectively, ranked 78th, 43rd, and 66th in those categories the previous year, and the 2021 averages are on pace to rank 3rd, 1st, and 2nd in Michigan football history. Michigan obviously being a more defensive school historically than offensive, unless you look in the pre-World War II era, which there's no really point in talking about, as that was nearly 100 years ago. But anyway, I think that it's valid. Again, I think that's the best short-term solution, would be hiring him as the head coach position. Let's look at a candidate that I have pictured up here in Matt Rule, the current head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Dodd says sources are already indicating Rule would be interested in the Michigan job if it comes open. 24/7 Sports take is Rule could be looking at a return to the college ranks given what's transpired with the Panthers. He has not had success there. They traded for Darnold, I think, this past year. Again, I'm not an NFL guy. He's not turned out well. They've had back-to-back 5-win seasons. It looks like his job security is safe, but with the NFL, you could be fired at any moment, and you should not be surprised by it. Rule was a wizard of sorts at Baylor after winning 18 of 27 games over 2 seasons following a 1-11 finish in year 1. And you can attribute that to the Baylor scandal where, I'm not going to bring up those words because I could get demonetized, but still, there were a lot of bad things going on at Baylor, a scandal in 2015, 2016. Really bad stuff, did not help the football program at all. Before joining Baylor, Rule posted a 28-23 record as head coach at Temple from 2013 to 16. Rule was also reportedly a target with the New York Giants after a turnaround at the Bears. Rule, he might be unpopular now because of what he's done with the Panthers, but again, the NFL job, a lot different from college. Even look at Nick Saban or Urban Meyer. Not that I'm comparing Rule to those greats, but they mightily struggled in the NFL. Just because your coach does not have success in the NFL does not mean he can't succeed in college. Rule, despite a little bit of a red flag here, as he's never beaten a top 25 team in college, despite that, he went 11-3, nearly beat Oklahoma twice in 2019 with his 11-3 Baylor squad, and went down with a fight against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, again finishing 11-3. Their losses to teams that finished in the top 10 of the AP poll, to Oklahoma twice and once to Georgia. Another is Bill O'Brien, the Alabama offensive coordinator. Dodd says that O'Brien appears rejuvenated and professionally rehabbed. It also helps that Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy under his watch. I don't know about this one personally. I know that he did well at Penn State regarding the sanctions, but outside of those 2 years, which were under extreme circumstances, there's not really much of a track record outside of that. And I just, as someone who wants Michigan to be successful, track record to me, at least for a long-term solution, is important. Obviously, Gaddis as an ideal short-term solution. Short-term, I'd be fine with, like on an interim basis, if there's not much of a resume to back you up. But Bill O'Brien, if you were to hire him, it would be on an obvious, we're going to try and make this work. This is not going to be an interim basis, obviously. He's currently the offensive coordinator at Alabama. 24/7 Sports Take, O'Brien is an early candidate for the New England Patriots open OC vacancy following Josh McDaniels' departure to become the Raiders' next head coach. The McDaniels move is the latest NFL coaching domino to fall, which could impact where O'Brien coaches for the 2022 season. However, Michigan coming open would be the better opportunity given O'Brien's previous stint in the Big Ten as the head coach at Penn State. Nick Saban assistants are routinely poached for head coaching jobs, and it's not guaranteed they'll do well, but you always have a chance of getting a Kirby Smart, per se, or a Mel Tucker, or a Billy Napier, guys who have done better than a lot of other coaches have. Like, great head coaches. Another, this is where I'm going to end it here, is Matt Campbell from Iowa State. Matt Campbell, again, really great head coach. He does more with less, so I don't know how good of a recruiter he would be at Michigan. And this past season, they went, I think it was 7-6 with a ton of returning starters. That kind of sowed some doubt in my mind and heart, but nonetheless, I think that he would be a better choice than most. Dodd says at this late stage, especially with signing day approaching, it is doubtful Campbell would leave for the Cyclones. He's got those kind of ethics after essentially promising an entire recruiting class he would be there. But yet again, you never know. Money talks, like it did with Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly. Granted, even from the get-go, I don't know if those guys appeared to have the same integrity or character that Matt Campbell does. 24/7 Sports Take. Campbell is signed through the 2028 season thanks to an extension signed prior to the 2021 campaign. However, NFL interest still persists for one of college football's most respected young coaches, according to Pelissero, who reported in November his reputation as a culture builder with a good mind for offense has him squarely on the NFL radar. Campbell's been rumored for bigger jobs at the college level before, including Michigan last offseason when Harbaugh's future was in doubt, coming off of that poor 2-4 season. Other names that have been mentioned are Mike Hart, PJ Fleck. There are people who have been jokingly mentioning Urban Meyer, and I doubt that will happen. And even if that wasn't a legitimate name, Michigan just going through the Bo Schembechler scandal, the hockey team being investigated, I don't think Michigan, period, would want a guy who himself recently in the NFL was investigated, and at other places, Ohio State and even Florida has been investigated as well and has left, he's had trouble everywhere. He leaves trouble after he leaves wherever. I forget how Harbaugh put it about Urban Meyer. He just leaves problems whenever he leaves that specific program, Florida especially. That's all I have to say for this video, really. Again, this is just my opinion on the whole situation, my thoughts. If, again, regarding the giveaway, you just have to comment down below. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and especially if you want that $100 StubHub gift card, which is the courtesy of myself, not StubHub. Again, I'm not partnering with them. Just comment down below and you're entered into the system. And in 3 days, so Friday, I will select the winner and I will reply to the winner announcing that he has won. More details on that later when it happens, and more details down in the description below. Again, if you like this video, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys around. Bye.